Okay, so in this tutorial, what we're going to do is we're going to apply the stems that you can see that goes down from the top here of the roof all the way down to the very end, and we're also going to apply an end stem here. So you can also see it over here that it goes from the very end all the way down there, and then you have some other thicker stems up there. So that's what we're going to do in this tutorial, and in order to have some sort of geometry that we can guide to actually apply this sort of stems, we can click on the roof, and then we can divide the surface. And immediately when we use the divide surface command, we end up with this sort of geometry. It's a bunch of subdivided pieces of the roof. And we can also change this one, for example, if you want to have a checkered roof, if we want to have a rhomboid checker roof or whatever, we can actually address that here. But we're just going to stick with we're going to stay with the rectangle one. We're going to click so the surface is back on, and then we're going to go to the surface representation and say that we actually want the nodes visible. And when I say they want the nodes visible, it's because these nodes, they actually give us a little point that we can use as a reference when we build the geometry. And I can also take away the pattern there, so it's a little bit easier to look at. So here it is. Here's our pattern. We can also take away the actual grid lines, so we just have the points. If we go into the surface representation again and untick UV grids and intersect lines, there we are. But that gives us just the guiding pieces that we can use. The guide, it doesn't actually give us a geometry, and the geometry that we're going to use that through adaptive component. But before we go in and start and create an adaptive component family, we're going to take these lines that we have here that we use to loft the geometry. I'm going to hide them temporarily. So hide element, there we go. So there we are. Now we're ready to just bring in the new piece of the adaptive components. So go into more Revit, new, and family, and it's a generic adaptive component. You can find it under your template file for the different families. Here we are, and I'm just gonna place some points here. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. Was it 17 I had? I was going to go in here and check in my family again. Well, I have a 10 by 10 here. I'm going to change that one, so I'm actually going to have a grid that is, it's better to have an even number here. You can see how it updated, and we're going to make that 20. Oh, yeah, that's better. So then I can go back into my adaptive. Oh, not that one. We can go into my adaptive family that I have here, and I placed all these points, and I think how many points was it that I placed? 17 points. Yeah, that's fine. And I say that you guys are going to be adaptive points, and I'm going to spline a point from the beginning until the end, right through there. That's grand. So the reason I did that is because this piece of geometry, I just made this, or this line here, also made it just a reference line right there, and I can use this geometry here as to stitch on the component. I can actually drive geometry along the length of this stem or this line to create the stem. So I click on the point here, and I'm going to call it the start point. I click on this guy, and I'm going to call it the end point. And then I can activate the local reference plane here by just clicking on it, and it turns blue. And then I draw a circle on it, make the reference or the dimension string permanent, and I add a dimension to it, and I say stem start, stem thickness start. I can also make that a reference line. Click on the second part, make that a reference line, and that permanent dimension string that I just created, I click on it, and I'm going to assign a new parameter to it. So I call it the stem T end. There we are. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to loft or the geometry along the length of this spline here. So I mark all 3 pieces and I go create form. There it is. I can also place the starting point at the very beginning of my line and at the end. There we are. And since I created parameters for the thickness, well, I can address that too. So stem thickness end, we can make that 50. Actually, let's make that 100. And we take the other one and we can make that 150. It seems thickness 75 maybe. 75 mil radius, that should do it. Yep. I can also assign a material parameter to this. So I click on the actual geometry. I go to material parameter out there and I assign it material for stem. There we go. I'll make that an instance parameter. There it is. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to load this family. First I'm going to save it. So go save as. So I call it the canopy 7-point stem there. And then I'm going to load this one into my canopy. There it is. And I asked, okay, where should I place this point? And since I have this 17-point stem that I'm gonna place here, I'm gonna do it along this path here. So I click at the end, and then I just place it along the very edge here. And obviously I didn't think very well about that. I didn't think much at all. So what I have to do is I have to go in there. I'm going to give it the same thickness in both ends. So it can also be 150 mil. Obviously it's actually going to retain some sort of structural properties. So there it is. And then I can continue on doing the rest of my stems for the roof as I see fit. So the next one I'm going to do could be, well, what is that? If I start a stem there, let's see now. This roof is 20, so that would be 21, 20. I can actually start and do it 21. But you can actually place the stems as you see fit, obviously, and just use this little note as reference. So I'm going to pause there and let you guys catch up and complete the stem roof. See you in the next tutorial. Thank you.